A powerful pro-Israel lobby, AIPAC, continues its annual conference. Now, we want to take a look at the painful subject of anti-Semitism. Painful in two ways, really. One, because the mere mention or even just accusation of anti-Semitism can have a devastating effect on someone's career. And two, because the damage that is caused by an actual hateful anti-Semite, as a matter of fact, here, let me show you who I'm talking about. See that man right there? This guy's a violent, hateful anti-Semite, no question, right? Federal prosecutors say this dude, Robert Bowers, he hates Jews so much that last October he stormed into a synagogue in Pittsburgh and killed 11 people. Man, 11 innocent people who were doing nothing more than gathering to worship as members of the Jewish faith. Think about that. The Robert Bowers story, like any attack against innocent people, should be held up as exactly what anti-hate groups should focus on, right? If for no other reason than to honor its victims. But interestingly enough, at this year's AIPAC conference, the Bowers story, it did not, let's just say it did not predominate. So the question is, which story did predominate? Who predominated, right? What was the big story there? Here now is RT correspondent Dan Cohen, who's been covering the AIPAC conference and joins us to, I guess, answer that question.
Okay, so Ilhan Omar, the freshman congresswoman from Minnesota, was mentioned in 11 different speeches accused of anti-Semitism. The boycott, divestment, sanctions movement mentioned in 9 different speeches. Robert Bowers, the Nazi who stormed a synagogue and killed 11 worshiping Jews, including a Holocaust survivor, was mentioned only 5 times, and most of them in order to equate Ilhan Omar with him. Now, wow. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, took a shot at Ilhan Omar today. Listen to what he said.
Jews are cast as a force for evil. Again, the Jews are charged with disloyalty. Again, the Jews are said to have too much influence, too much power, too much money. From this Benjamin, it's not about the Benjamins.
There we go back to that topic, huh? That was the run she had made earlier, right? About the Benjamins that she got in trouble for?
Yes, exactly. She's basically referring to lobbying, not to Jews using their money, to the Israel lobby using money to influence politicians. Now, she shot back on Twitter. Here's what she said. This from a man facing indictments for bribery and other crimes in 3 separate public corruption affairs. Next. And that's true. Netanyahu is indicted under 3 corruption charges and possibly a 4th worth billions of dollars. So that's absolutely true. Now, there's a couple more important points.
Well, it's just interesting that you would be talking about a catfight between the Prime Minister of Israel and some U.S. Congresswoman, and that they'd spent part of the day going back and forth at each other. I find that absolutely fascinating. But go on. You were going to continue.
Benjamin Netanyahu's son, Yair Netanyahu, last night had dinner with Sebastian Gorka, a former member of the Trump administration, who reportedly took a lifelong oath to a Hungarian Nazi collaborator group. So why is Benjamin Netanyahu's son palling around with, obviously, an anti-Semite? Then, on top of that, at AIPAC, you have Adam Milstein, who called Ilhan Omar a terrorist. Now, this is a guy who's on AIPAC's national board. He's put huge amounts of money into the Israel lobby. Take a look at the quote he said about contributing to AIPAC. He says, "We grew up in Israel and served in the Israel Defense Forces. Today, as American citizens, we continue our miluim, the mandatory IDF reserve duty, by ensuring U.S. support for Israel. The best way to do so is through AIPAC." If that isn't dual loyalty, comparing being in AIPAC, contributing to AIPAC, to being in the Israeli military, I don't know what else is. And that's what Ilhan Omar said.
It really comes down to your politics, doesn't it? I mean, really, it's not so much about being anti-Semitic. It's about not agreeing with a policy that you want people to agree with.
Exactly. I mean, there's that's pretty much it.
I mean, like, what are we missing here if that's not what we're looking at? And I guess that's where we leave it then. Dan Cohen, as usual, good job, good coverage, interesting questions that we pose. I'm Rick Sanchez. You found us on YouTube, and that's awesome. But you know what? I'm also live every night at 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern on DirecTV and Dish and cable and satellite, the RT app, and Pluto TV. I'll see you there.